Hi, welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt. And this might be the best affordable EV on sale today, and it's a front-wheel drive Kia. This is the Kia Niro, and you can get it in 3 flavors. But here today we have the battery electric one in wave trim. What that means is we have a front-wheel drive Niro that's good for 253 miles of range and costs between 45 and 50K. So let's see if it's worth it, or if you should go up to the EV6. Okay, level setting, there's a few things that I didn't really love about the EV6 as we tested it earlier this year. The menu structure on the dash was nonsensical. I didn't really love the look, but most of all, the complete lack of headroom. This Niro doesn't solve everything, but it solves the biggest problem I had with the EV6, and it's that I can sit in here with a hat on and not hit the knob at the top on the roof. But let's talk about the way that this thing drives. Behind the wheel, in the most simple terms that I can manage, it's very good. It's only got a 201 horsepower, so it's not going to be that crazy performance EV, but it is very, very comfortable. The power comes on smooth, regardless of drive mode. It never feels like my neck is being snapped. The steering is numb, but it's precise, and it's light, making it easy to drive. It isn't pretending to be a sports car, so the suspension can be nice and soft and comfy and pillowy, and the visibility, that's excellent too. There are 3 drive modes, and of course Sport is the sharpest, but it's programmed better than the Kona EV we tested last winter, which just wanted to eat its own feet. The issue now comes in Eco mode, where they've programmed all of the response out of the throttle that pulling away or getting through an intersection feels almost dangerously lazy. Normal mode is perfect though, and with the soft suspension it is wonderfully comfy. And then there's the regen. I rant about the regen on these Korean cars a lot, and the Ioniq 5 got the worst rant here, but it seems like they've fixed it here. You have 5 levels of regen, which of course you can control with your paddles, but even with regen dialed all the way off with the right paddle, you still can recoup energy under the actual brake pedal, which is really nice. You didn't get that in the Ioniq 5 or the EV6. I still don't love the full regen or one pedal or iPedal or whatever they call it, but it's just a personal preference to me. But having so many options with the regen, it allows me to play braking with the paddles rather than the brake, which I'm now realizing is basically iPedal, but with a lot more work. But I like the way that this power comes on with the regen off. It feels sharper and more natural. With regen on, it constantly feels like you're climbing out of a hole when you pull away from a stop. But small nuances aside, this little Niro is excellent behind the wheel. I do wish it had all-wheel drive for the Wisconsin winters here, but they fixed the front-wheel drive burnouts problem. The driving dynamics are smooth and relaxing. The cabin is reasonably quiet at highway speeds. You can see everything in here, even out the back. And the Highway Driving Assist 2 system is excellent. So with all of that covered, let's step outside and talk some more finer details. Okay, and then a couple housekeeping details about this Niro EV before we start to talk about the way that this thing looks. It's got a 65 kilowatt hour battery that makes 253 miles of range. It has a heat pump and other measures to keep your range as efficient as possible and as least affected by the weather as possible. You can charge 10 to 80% in 45 minutes, which isn't as fast as the EV6 or Ioniq 5 sister vehicles, but it's on par with a lot of other things like Audi's e-trons and those sort of things. And yes, it's front-wheel drive, but it'll still do 0 to 60 in just about 7 seconds, so it's really not bad. And the best part, it starts under $40,000, but of course, as tested here, we're just over $45,000. So you're getting a lot of EV here, and I think the looks are even better than the EV6. Starting up front, this car came in the Stormtrooper spec. Not the OG Stormtroopers from the original trilogy, but the new Disney ones. You've got a simple front end. The upper black grille is just accenting. Then you have lower headlight units with cool running lights. And then some venting and cooling in your lower fascia, along with a subtle silver splitter thing, which we'll get to on the side. But the best thing about the design it shares with its EV Kona sister, the charging port is on the front of the car. Then under the hood you do have some storage, but it's as small as the EV6, so it's fairly useless. And then around the side, that silver splitter thing wraps around the front wheels and then becomes kind of a side skirt design, but at no point does it connect with the rear wheel. The profile though is nice conventional hatch style, compact SUV, unlike the EV6, which may be why I like this thing more. But it does make aero concessions to the 17-inch blocky wheels, which are nice but do look a little plasticky even though they aren't. The door handles aren't recessed and feel exactly like the Palisade door handles. And then you get to the thing you're all wondering about, the gray aero blade. Yes, it's functional and air passes underneath it. Yes, every press car you've seen reviewed has the gray side blade. No, it's not standard. In fact, the wave trim we have here with the white paint is the only way you can get it, at least for 2023 cars. Personally, I kind of like it. The back of the side blade, whether it's gray or not, features the taillights. They're LED, they're minimal, and they look expensive and cool. The hatch also features a spoiler type overhang with a third brake light. And that's really it for the rear styling. Everything else is in the bumper, the reverse light, the blinker, and the diffuser. The bumper blinker placement isn't my favorite idea that they've ever had, but it's fairly common now. So overall, I think the design on the exterior of this Niro EV is very, very cool. It's modern, it's contemporary, it has a lot of style. And if you don't like this white, they have this red color that very much reminds me of Mazda's Soul Red, and that's a real nice compliment. But let's step inside. And then jumping on the inside, a couple more housekeeping bits before we start to talk about the interior design. The Niro also gets a really functional feature like vehicle to load powering, where it functions as a generator. And then it has less functional gimmicks like its smart park to get you in and out of tight spaces. But as far as the interior goes, it's pretty nice. The design is very modern and certainly inspired by the EV6. The materials you're not going to find in Buckingham Palace, but they're all sustainable. Recycled plastic water bottles for your headliner, seats made with eucalyptus leaves, and so on. The EV6 did this as well, and other manufacturers are doing this also, which is cool to see, and you get some new and exciting materials. It's easy to get bored with black and brown and red leather. And then the tech here is pretty good too. You get a head-up display, which is rare in this segment. You get a 10.25-inch digital cluster. You get a 10.25-inch infotainment system. It's the usual Kia Hyundai system, so you get stuff like quiet mode, your sounds of nature, wired CarPlay, but no 360 cameras here. You have to go to the EV6 for that. And then speaking of the EV6, you get the same steering wheel with the same drive mode button. I mentioned your driver assist suite is excellent, and it is. You get 64 color ambient lighting, and you get your phone as a key. You've also got great luxuries I wasn't expecting, like heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, and heated rear seats. And on the wave trim you get a sunroof, though it's not panoramic, I guess I can forgive that. But that then brings me to things that I don't really love about this Niro EV, and it's the same thing I hated in the EV6. It's the volume or climate controls. It's dumb, I hate it, but we move on. The rear seats are nice and usable for adults, but not huge. Supposedly the EV Niro gets 2 inches less legroom than the hybrids. Not sure why that would be, but that's according to Kia. You do get chargers in the back of the front seats, and it's fine in the back. The trunk is of reasonable size and smaller than an EV6, but not by a huge amount. So the interior here has pretty much everything I'd be looking for. It's spacious, it's comfortable, it's quiet, and it features a lot of recycled materials, which is cool to see. So let's wrap that out. The new Kia Niro in EV. The closest competitor is from the sister brand Hyundai, and this Niro brings more style and more refined driving dynamics. As compared to benchmarks like the Model Y, it's a bit smaller, but it's a lot less money. Dollar for dollar, it competes closer to a rear-wheel drive Model 3, but this has more style and more utility, so it's a strong offering. I've enjoyed this new Niro EV, so let me know what your thoughts are, and we'll see you in the next one.